The room was too quiet for a place filled with so many people. You could hear it, the soft hum of the air conditioner, the faint shuffle of shoes against polished floors, the tiny clink of glass from someone adjusting their grip. And in the middle of it all, under bright white lights, stood Elena, frozen. Her hands trembled. The microphone in front of her caught the sound of her breath, shallow, uneven, breaking apart like fragile glass. Everyone was watching. She hadn't meant for this to happen. Not like this. Elena had always loved quiet things. Early mornings, before the city woke up. The soft purring of her gray cat, Miso, curled against her chest. The gentle rhythm of rain tapping against her window, like a secret language only she understood. She worked at a small bookstore tucked between a bakery and a repair shop. It smelled like paper and cinnamon. People didn't rush there. They wandered, touched spines of books, whispered. It was safe, predictable, invisible, and Elena liked being invisible until Daniel walked in one afternoon with a smile that didn't belong to quiet places. He was loud in a soft way, like sunlight breaking through curtains. He laughed easily, spoke to strangers, and somehow made silence feel warm instead of empty. He came back the next day, and the next. Sometimes he bought books, sometimes he didn't, but he always stayed. "You should read this," he said once, handing her a novel. "It feels like you." She had blinked, confused. "What does that mean?" He shrugged, smiling. "It feels gentle, but strong underneath." No one had ever said something like that to her before. She kept the book. She kept him too. Their world grew in small ways. Coffee after work, walks under streetlights, sharing stories that felt too personal to say out loud, but easier somehow when said beside someone who listened like it mattered. Miso liked him. That surprised her most. The cat who trusted no one would curl beside Daniel, as if she had known him forever. "You're special," he told the cat once, scratching behind her ears. "But don't worry, I won't replace you." Elena laughed. It was a quiet laugh, but it stayed. Months passed. Then one evening, Daniel brought something new into their quiet world. An invitation, a performance, Elena said, holding the card like it might disappear. "Not just any performance," Daniel replied. "It's mine." She looked up. "You perform." He nodded, almost shy for the first time. "I never told you. I play piano. There's a small event this weekend. Nothing big." But it was big. To her, it was enormous. "You should come," he added, softer now. "I want you there." Her chest tightened in a way she couldn't explain. "I will," she said. And she meant it. The night arrived dressed in soft gold lights and quiet anticipation. The venue was elegant, too elegant for someone like Elena, who felt more at home between dusty shelves and quiet corners. People wore sharp suits, flowing dresses, confident smiles. She felt small, invisible again. But then she saw him. Daniel stood near the stage, adjusting his sleeves, his expression focused but calm. When his eyes found her, he smiled. Not the easy smile he gave everyone else. A different one, something deeper. She held onto that smile like it was the only steady thing in the room. The performance began. Music filled the air soft at first, then rising, swelling, wrapping around the room like a living thing. Daniel played like he was telling a story, without words. Every note carried something: joy, sorrow, longing. Elena felt it all. Her chest ached, but in a beautiful way, like something inside her was finally being seen. When he finished, the room erupted into applause. People stood, clapped, some even wiped tears from their eyes. Elena didn't move. She just watched him, her Daniel. But suddenly, he wasn't just hers. After the performance, the crowd gathered around him. Voices overlapped. Brilliant, incredible. Where have you been hiding? Elena stayed at the edge, holding her small purse, unsure where she belonged in this new version of his world. Then she heard it, a woman's voice. You didn't tell them about Paris. Elena turned. The woman stood close to Daniel, too close. Elegant, confident, familiar. Daniel's expression shifted. It's not important, he said quietly. Not important, the woman laughed softly. You're leaving in 2 weeks. The words hit Elena like cold water. Leaving. Her breath caught. She stepped forward before she could stop herself. Daniel, her voice was small, almost lost in the noise. He turned, saw her, and in that moment, something broke. The room seemed to shrink. The sounds faded. All that remained was the space between them. You're leaving, she asked. Her voice didn't sound like hers anymore. Daniel hesitated. I was going to tell you. When, she whispered, after you left. It's not like that. Then what is it like? People were watching now. The same people who had just applauded him. Their eyes moved between them, curious, uncomfortable, hungry for something real. Daniel ran a hand through his hair. It's an opportunity, Elena. A big one. And I'm not part of it. Silence. Heavy. Final. That was her answer. Her chest tightened. The room felt too bright, too loud, too full. And yet, she had never felt so alone. I thought, she started, but the words slipped away. What had she thought? That quiet things could last forever. That someone like him would stay in a world that barely moved. She laughed, a small, broken sound. I'm sorry, Daniel said. And somehow, that hurt more than anything. She didn't mean to step onto the stage. She didn't even remember moving. But suddenly, she was there, under the same lights he had stood in, facing the same crowd. The microphone still stood at the center. Waiting, the room fell silent again. Whispers, confusion. Elena's hands trembled. Her heart pounded so loudly, she thought it might echo through the speakers. She wasn't supposed to be here. This wasn't her world, but something inside her, something quiet and hidden for so long, refused to stay silent anymore. She looked at the piano, then at Daniel, then back at the piano. I can't do this, she whispered to herself. But her feet moved anyway. She sat down. The bench felt cold. The keys looked endless. Her fingers hovered above them, shaking. I'm sorry, she said into the microphone. I don't know what I'm doing. A few people shifted awkwardly. Someone coughed. Daniel stepped forward slightly, concern in his eyes. But she didn't look at him anymore. She looked at the keys, closed her eyes, and pressed the first note. It was wrong, too soft, too uncertain. A mistake. She almost stopped. But then something happened. The note lingered. It didn't disappear. It hung in the air like a fragile thread. And without thinking, she followed it. Another note, then another. Not perfect, not practiced, but real. So real it hurt. The room changed. The tension softened. People leaned in. The mistakes didn't disappear, but they became part of something else. Something alive. Something raw. Her fingers moved faster now, guided by feeling instead of fear. Tears slipped down her cheeks, but she didn't stop. Every note carried something she had never said. The loneliness, the quiet love, the fear of being left behind, the ache of realizing she had already been. Daniel stood frozen. He had never seen her like this, never heard her like this. This wasn't the quiet girl from the bookstore. This was something deeper, something he hadn't noticed, something he had missed. The music rose. It broke. It healed. It shattered again. And then slowly, gently, it faded. The final note trembled in the air, then disappeared. Silence. No applause. No movement. Just breath. Shared. Heavy. Real. Elena opened her eyes. The room blurred through tears. She stood slowly, stepped away from the piano, and for a moment, she thought she had ruined everything, that this was the mistake she would never recover from. Then someone clapped. Just one. Soft, uncertain. Then another, and another, until the room filled with sound again. Not loud like before. Not perfect, but warm, honest. Daniel didn't clap. He just looked at her, like he was seeing her for the first time. But she didn't walk toward him. She didn't wait. She didn't stay. Outside, the night air was cool. The city moved, as it always did, cars passing. Lights flickering. Distant laughter echoing through streets that didn't care about broken hearts or unexpected magic. Miso would be waiting at home, curled up, quiet, safe. Elena took a deep breath. Her chest still hurt, but something inside her felt different, not fixed, not whole, but awake. Behind her, the music started again. Different this time. Not his, not hers, just something new. And she kept walking. The night didn't end with applause. It ended with footsteps fading into the distance, and a girl who finally stopped disappearing. Some mistakes don't break you, they reveal you, and sometimes, in front of everyone, under the brightest lights, when everything feels like it's falling apart, something beautiful begins. If this story stayed with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because somewhere out there, another quiet story is waiting to be heard.